All right, now this is part B. We're doing a running cost comparison over 5 years. That 5 years is pretty important. And notice that there's 11 marks available for this section. So this is the section that's worth the most marks. So what's it asking you to do? Research all likely costs of running each vehicle and compare them in a spreadsheet created in Google Sheets. So, and then what's the expected total running cost over 5 years? Now the first thing I want to point out is, and I was really reluctant, Rieta found this app, I was kind of reluctant to put it in because it's just so good. So the Money Smart app that pertains to Money Smart cars, it has thought of just about every running cost you could possibly imagine, and it's put it into its app. So I was kind of thinking, oh well, I might get them to research and find out the running costs. That Money Smart app's pretty much done it for you. So the message there is the hints are important, right? Don't ignore them. Okay. So Money Smart app will give you the running cost for the car. You need to, you're going to need, before you can do really a lot of the running costs, because they depend on how far you travel, you're going to need to do some thinking about, okay, well look, if this was your car, how far would you be travelling in it? Like how far would you drive it? And to do that, you're going to have to do some thinking. You're going to have to think, well, okay, well I walk to school every day, and that's 3 kilometres, and I go to soccer soccer training 2 times a week, and that's 10 kilometres, and then the game on the week. Whatever your life is, map out your travel patterns and work out how far you're travelling, and then take into account a bit extra, right? Because once you've got a car, your world opens up to you, right? So once you've got a car, you might decide to drive to Civic to buy that new pair of shoes that you're after, or just drive to Belconnen just because it's a really cool place, or whatever you want, because once your world's open and you've got a car, have car will travel, how far are you likely to travel, under that freedom category? All right, you decide, but you've got to work out how far you're going to travel. And then you need to research and reference the source of all the costs. So for example, you're going to need to contact Access Canberra to find out what the registration cost is, because they vary from model to model, right? So you get onto Access Canberra, find how much it costs. You're going to have to explain the calculations of any variable running costs. So this scared my other class a little bit, so just listen carefully in here. So most new cars will tell you how far they will travel around town on a tank of petrol. Okay, and you know how far you want to travel, and you know how much fuel goes into a tank. So you need to put those things together and work out, well, how often are you going to be filling up this car? And then you need to go down to the local petrol station and probably take a picture of the petrol prices and multiply it by the number of litres that you're going to put into the tank, so you can find out the fuel cost of this car. Okay, so that's something that we as adults do all the time, because we know how far we travel in a week, we know how often we fill up, we know how much the petrol's going to cost us, but this is new for you, and you'll need to explain those calculations. Lastly, you need to provide a working link to your Google Sheet, and it looks a lot like this. There's a working link down here, and when I click it, this one will actually take you to a really simple example of what I'm after. Okay, and when you click on it, it's going to do exactly what it's done for Holly's computer. Holly's now got a very simple car cost comparison sheet sitting in her Google Drive. When you click that, make a copy, you too will have one sitting in your Google Drive. And you can see on the left-hand side, I've put the internal combustion engine car. You might identify the exact model. On the right-hand side, I've put the electric car, and you might identify the exact model. Now, I've just made up all the figures in this, but it's to show you what I'm looking for. And obviously, you're going to have many more running costs than me down the left-hand side. That's what I mean by simple. Now, can I get someone who's paying attention to tell me what column I've missed there. Like I've given cost per week, cost per fortnight, cost per month, cost per year, but the question asks you to do what? And what, therefore, what column's missing? Cost per 5 years. All right, so yours is going to look like that, but you'll also need to do cost per 5 years. Now, why have I done cost per week, cost per fortnight, cost per month, cost per year? Does anyone want to have a go at answering that? Okay, I'll just tell you, in the interest of moving things along pretty quick. Not all the costs come in the same time period. So you might fill your petrol up once a week or once a fortnight, depending on how far you travel and how big your tank is, but the registration's only done once a year, and your insurance might be monthly. So if you're going to make genuine comparisons between the running costs of the cars, they all need to be against the same time period, which in your case is going to be over 5 years. So, and then I just want to show you what I've done underneath. So, if you have a look up at the formula bar, the bit where it says FX, you'll see the number 700. And that means that I have typed 700 into that spreadsheet, and what that means for the registration cost is that is the fixed 1 year cost. But you'll notice I've got figures against cost per month, cost per fortnight, cost per week. I haven't put them into a calculator and plugged them in. I've used the formula function of Excel, not Excel, of Google Sheets to do that. So, and you should have had a lesson on this in class, hopefully, that would show you how to do that. So it automatically calculates the cost per month, the cost per fortnight, the cost per week. So if I happen to change that to 800, it'll recalculate, or if I got the, if I got it wrong or something, it'll recalculate the cost per week, cost per fortnight, cost per month, and in your version, the cost per 5 years. Now, in the cost per 5 years, everything's going to be a calculation because you don't pay anything, over a 5 year period, really. All right, let's bring it back to that assignment. Okay, thanks, Hayden.